Hi, this is Ashley from Under the Sun Travel, and I wanted to give you some insider tips and tricks on when the least expensive time to travel is, as well as when you're going to pay the premium rates. In addition, when are you going to see the least amounts of crowds versus the highest amounts of crowds? Okay, we'll start with my bread and butter, which is definitely Mexico, Caribbean, and Hawaii. So the best times to book these destinations in particular are going to be the last week of April, the first couple of weeks of May, generally the last few weeks of September, avoiding Labor Day weekend, of course, as well as typically the first week of October and the first week of December generally. Of course, those are not the weeks that generally you are available to travel. So moving on from that, if you are really needing to book over that Christmas holiday time, if you can book the 10 days prior to Christmas or after January 4th or 5th, generally you're going to have better rates than you would have during the those 2 weeks of Christmas break. If you can wait and book into the summer, if you can book the last couple of weeks of May are going to typically be less expensive, and the first couple of weeks of August as well. Okay, what's next? Cruising, right? When is going to be the best time to go to Alaska? Alaska cruising season typically runs the last week of April through about the first week of October. And always, if you can book the shoulder seasons, the very first weeks or the very last weeks are going to be the least expensive rates. Typically, the highest rates are going to be July and August, as that's going to be the warmest weather in Alaska. So that is when the best time to book Alaska cruising. As for all of the other cruising, typically it's going to be the exact same as we went over for Mexico, Caribbean, Hawaii. Anytime the school is out of season, you're going to have the higher rates versus whenever school is in session, you will have the lower rates. So if you can go the first week of May, the last week of April, September, October, those are going to be the better rates. So I don't typically book ton of Europe, but we do book quite a bit of Europe. So some of the best rates that we see as far as looking at river cruising in particular is going to be during early December. If you can go in late October, sometimes the rates are pretty good for the very first of April, late March. If we're looking at Mediterranean season, there is definitely a lot of misconception on when you can go to the Mediterranean and have a warm weather. So if you can get in the shoulder seasons, the first week of May, the last week, first week of October, that is going to be the least expensive rates. Just kind of keeping in mind that the season for Mediterranean runs May through early October. We'll say that. So just kind of depending on what dates you choose, there may or may not be a lot of openings at everything. So you may definitely will have less crowds, but you also may have less services in addition to that. Europe can be a little bit trickier in general. We don't necessarily have as much of the issues with the school breaks. Obviously, summer is going to be a higher rate than other times, but I will say Ireland this year surprised me, and the airline tickets were $550 a person over spring break. So I think that one can be really subjective to the time of year, how the airline rates are running, and there's going to be a lot of factors on. If there's Jubilee going in Italy like there was last year, then rates are going to be higher in general. If it's beach season, we're going to have higher rates. But then again, if you can go in the colder months, and you'll have less crowds and better rates. So definitely lots to explore and see. Really, in conclusion, the best time of year to travel is the time of year that works for you and your budget. If you're looking for a good deal, then definitely take advantage of the shoulder season in Europe and try to go in the winter time. Maybe you'll get some really pretty snow and really beautiful scenery, even though you're not going to be warm. Obviously too, that if you can take advantage of those first weeks for Alaska cruising season. Awesome time to go. If you are flexible with your school season and you can go to Disney in September, you're gonna have the best experience for sure. And then Mexico, Caribbean, Hawaii, just kind of looking around for the best dates, but typically we'll always say that last week of April, first week of May, first week of December, and the last couple of weeks of September are the best rates to be had for those locations. So happy traveling. We're always here to help.